Hello, everyone, and welcome to our third talk on careers and environment. For today, we're going to talk about doing internships or working at the UN level. So, I'm going to go first. My name is Laura. I was born in Colombia, but I grew up in Montreal. And 2 years ago, I had an amazing opportunity to work at the UN level. So, I was part of the UNA Canada's International Development and Diplomacy Internship. With this internship, you work. It is funded through the Government of Canada's Youth Employment Strategy. It allows youth to gain work experience in the United Nations systems. But to qualify for this program, you need to be between 18 and 30 years old. There's two cohorts per year. So I don't know with the pandemic how it's gonna work, but normally they do this every year. So this internship offers successful candidates a 6-month international placement at a UN agency. We work as junior professional consultants, so we're not only interns, and UNAC help us to create meaningful and SDG focused position with the United Nations agencies, right? So we're supported throughout the program. We have training and we are really supported. So I really recommend this program if you're interested in the UN, in working at the UN. So I was working in UNDP Ukraine. So, what is the UNDP? So, the United Nations Development Program is the global development network from the UN. It advocates for change and connects countries to knowledge, experience, and resources to help people build a better life for themselves. We're guided by the Sustainable Development Goals, or the SDGs, also known as the Global Goals. This was adopted by all the member states in 2015, and is a call of action to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure that all people enjoy peace and prosperity by 2030. So my role was to work in the environment portfolio at UNDP in Ukraine. I work mostly in Kiev, the capital. So I worked for 6 years, and my focus was mostly on policy work. Most of my tasks were to do research and understand how environmental issues are affecting Ukraine and what can UNDP do to create solutions. So, for instance, I completed an online course on gender and environment, and we did a small presentation at the UN Gender Talks. These were talks that happen once a month, and many people were interested in learning about gender issues. I also did a lot of research, especially on evidence-based data about water scarcity at a global level, just because they really wanted to create programs around water in the country. So they were also creating environmental impact assessment. So I did research on how it's done at a global level to then put it in Ukraine. They were also working with how can political parties learn about green practices. So I did a lot of research on that. I also help with writing a little presentation on peace preservation from internal and external partners. Finally, I also sometimes will write little things for people to talk about environment at conferences. So that was really, really interesting. And I definitely learned a lot for my time abroad. It was a great experience, and I recommend it for everyone. Um, oh, fuck.
Hello?
Hello?
Are you okay?
Are you here?
Yes, I can hear
Can you
you,
hear
but
me?
yes, no problem. Like, just keep talking. Like, I have no
Oh,
problem
okay.
hearing you, but it's just no string of you. So just keep talking.
Okay.
Your voice is there.
So I'm done, Joko. If you wanna go
Oh,
ahead.
that's it? Oh. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was like I
Okay.
don't know if you heard the presentation.
Okay, sure. No problem. I'll start. So sorry, everyone. there was a technical problem with this, and our host is fixing the problem. And that was just me on the whole screen while Laura was talking. So yeah, I'm still there, apparently. So anyway, I'll start my talk. So I have been to 2 workshops with United Nations while I was a student studying in Finland. I was doing masters in Finland for 2 years between 2016 and 2018. And so it was fortunate for me to attend United Nations conference because most of the conference are in Europe. So first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Yokoru. I have a bachelor's degree in environmental science from Simon Fraser University, and I am currently just finishing up my master's degree in environmental biology with a minor in forestry and a specialty in environmental policy. And currently, my main focus is on environmental policy. And I'm the policy coordinator with the Canadian Youth Biodiversity Network. So about attending United Nations conference. So the first conference I went was in Rome, which was sorry. The first one I went was in Venice. It's ocean literacy with UNESCO, and it was a high level conference, and it's only invited only. So I received an email from Global Youth Biodiversity Network one day, and they were looking for someone who could attend this workshop in Venice. And so I actually at the time it was like during my Christmas break, so I just went, and it was the perfect timing as well. So it was in December 2017, and so I went there. I was invited by GYBN, and it was 2 days conference, and I met many people from the world, professionals, experts, and people working in this industry, as well as artists who represent ocean in artistic ways. And in this conference, it was there was panelists talking about the projects and the like the government, like what the current government is doing, and also like artistic projects to showcase what its current doing for ocean literacy. So ocean literacy is about education of ocean basically, and one of the criteria that they were talking about was education. It was also one of the 5 cases we had to discuss as part of the discussion area. And in there was also the key people from United Nations, and they also introduced to us what they're doing on ocean literacy, as it's one of the initiative of United Nations. So let me introduce what we actually talk about. And so among all the talks, there was like about over 100 attendees from all over the world, and so it's not just marine education, but we also talk about cultural and social aspects. And so after the panel, there were like 5 different topics divided, and these 5 topics we all divide into groups, and it's about 20 people per group because it was 100 people. So let me try to talk about the basic things we found out at the end of this conference. So the 5 topics were policy and government, formal education, informal education, private sector, and civil society and scientific communities. And so this is all talk about, it's not just education that they focus on, but different institutions and communities. So within policy government, the main area they were talking about were the strategies, like according to each country, and SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, to enhance for policymakers, linking ocean literacy with other SDGs. So formal education refers to schools. So it involves teachers to teachers to think about what to include into school curriculum and train teachers how to teach students, improve knowledge. Informal education is all about training youth education. It's all about gaps, bridging the gap between country region, and also build toolkits to address these gaps. So private sector is basically integrate groups with ocean literacy and design modules and kits to make sure that the capacity development is implemented in each sector, not just environmental sector. And scientific communities is all about collaboration between the community stakeholders and develop policy for the scientific community, such as guidelines and regulations, and in also promoting fundraising opportunities. So basically, I'm reading these things actually off a website, and I actually write this blog. And if you Google me up, like my name is Yoko Lu, so YOKO, last name is LU, you type in GYBN, then you can find this show up on the first day in the Google. And there's my blog, and please read it if you want more details. So at the end of this conference, we all learn from each other, and it was really interesting to meet other professionals and collaborate with youth. But one thing I noticed, there was not many youth, but then I was one of the few youth that associated with professionals, and so it was really, I learned, it was probably the first most important area in the professional world where youth can probably collaborate with professionals and come up with a plan to improve the future. So basically, after this conference, there was a email list and in an email subscription that we still have some work to do, and so the ideas I gathered from the world, and we still have each other even after conference. It was a good opportunity. So this is the first conference, and the other one. It was organic soil carbon. It's not really climate change, but it's related to climate change. So I was also in the university in Finland that my professor who was teaching about basics class on Finnish environment, and he said he would go to this conference, and he was that was his last semester. He was retiring, so I basically just talked to him, asking him if I could also go to this conference. He said yes. It was like only 1 week before the conference started. It was last minute, so I asked him if he can ask them or gave me a contact to ask them if I can go. Yep, they said yes. So I kind of went straight 1 week afterward to Rome, to the FAO office, the main office, Food and Agriculture Organization in Rome. It was a 3-day conference. I mean, I'm not going to go too much in detail, but it's a very similar format. There was panel experts talking about topics on the soil, and then there was discussion and also workshops. There was a lot more people who attend this conference. It's not that small as the Ocean Literacy. So we just went to different rooms for different topics, and pretty much it. So at the end, after we that, in these workshops, we discussed ideas and talk about it. And then the hosts prepared everything, and they wrote down the details that each attendees discussed. And at the end of the final day, the third day, then they would just talk about general results and talk about future plans. And just like the Ocean Literacy Conference, there was a circulation of emails, and there's this email subscription, and then we are still discussing about soil. Yeah, that's pretty much. I'm not a soil expert, but it was an experiment or experience, and to see how it went. It was a good opportunity. So I suggest that for you, if you have an opportunity to attend these high-level conferences, I mean, don't be shy. Just to ask them if we can join, if we can attend. Although in most of these cases, if you can go, it's mostly your own expenses. So if you can afford, in general, you're able to go as long as you contact them and they receive if you receive approval, just go ahead. And yes, and if you're a student with a poster, so in this case it's mostly masters and above, but they are generally look more into PhD students, but masters can be acceptable. So if you could make a poster and present a poster, and then you can get some suggestions and some key experts, and maybe you can learn a professorship or a job. I mean, my friend has that happened before. Like he went to this conference. I don't actually remember if he said he posted his poster, but he did network and talked with people, and he learned a job with, I believe it was a government office with climate somewhere in Halifax, I believe. So it's possible. So if there's opportunities, just be brave and step forward and try your best, and just to see how it goes. I mean, I don't consider myself a brave person, but I'm more like free spirit, so I just go wherever I could. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Just try it. I mean, that's kind of my in the nation's presentation. And I'm not sure if this is delaying, but I hope it works. Laura, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello, Laura. Laura? So it seems that Laura has some problems with internet, Wi-Fi, or this application. Okay, it seems that Laura isn't here, so I guess there's no Q&A session, which I'm hoping we had. So I guess we're done for this really short 20-minute session. I hope that this conference is really good. So if anyone's interested, please look into our website, Canadian Youth Biodiversity Network, and our website is cybn.ca, and you can also join us on Instagram or Twitter and just volunteer to do some work with us, or contact us for any other projects. Or if your organization, please join us as well and collaborate with us. Thank you. Thank you for your attention.